r/pettyrevenge twin destroyed my phone, so I got her banned from in-laws. The satisfying crack of my phone hitting the brick wall still echoes in my ears 3 days later. Not because I threw it, because my twin sister Emma launched it like she was aiming for a home run. There, she screamed, her face twisted with that familiar rage that somehow always made our parents rush to comfort her. Maybe now you'll learn to keep your mouth shut. I stared at the scattered pieces of what used to be my lifeline, photos of my wedding, work contacts, everything, spread across my in-laws' pristine kitchen floor like expensive confetti. The latest iPhone, barely 2 months old, now looked like it had been through a blender. Emma, what the hell? My voice came out smaller than I intended, but honestly, I was in shock. We'd fought before, sure, but destroying my property? That was a new low, even for her. Don't what the hell me, she snapped, already switching into victim mode with tears welling up in her eyes. You embarrassed me in front of everyone. You had no right to tell them about you lying to get out of helping with Christmas dinner? About you calling mom crying that you were too sick to bring anything while you were literally posting Instagram stories from brunch with your friends? The truth hung between us like a live wire. For once, just once, I called her out in front of people instead of letting her spin another sob story about how overwhelmed and stressed she was. Our extended family had finally seen through her act for approximately 30 seconds. 30 seconds that apparently cost me $800. You don't understand the pressure I'm under, Emma whimpered, right on cue. My job is so demanding, and Brad's been distant, and I just needed one morning to myself. So you lied to our entire family and left mom scrambling to cover for you. Again. That's when she grabbed my phone off the counter. I actually thought she was going to throw it back at me, maybe try to break my nose this time like she did when we were 12. Instead, she turned and hurled it at the exposed brick wall behind the sink. The sound was so final. So violent. And of course, that's exactly when Mom walked into the kitchen. What happened? I heard shouting and Mom's eyes landed on the phone carnage, then immediately went to Emma, who had conjured up actual tears with the speed of a professional actress. Oh honey, what's wrong? Not why is there a destroyed phone on the floor or what did you do, Emma? Just immediate concern for the golden child who could literally burn down a house and somehow make it my fault. I'm so sorry, Emma sobbed into Mom's shoulder. I just got so overwhelmed and it slipped out of my hands. It was an accident, I swear. I'll pay her back, obviously, but you know how tight money is right now with the wedding planning. Wedding planning. For a wedding she'd already postponed twice and probably would again because Brad was being distant. But somehow she always had money for designer purses and weekend trips. Of course, sweetie, Mom cooed, shooting me a look that clearly said, don't you dare make this worse. These things happen. I'm sure we can figure something out. I bent down and picked up the largest piece of my phone, part of the case with my initial sticker still attached. The screen was completely separated from the body, hanging by a thin ribbon cable like a broken limb. That's when I realized my sister-in-law Jessica was standing in the doorway, recording everything on her phone. And that's when I got my first idea for revenge. Jessica lowered her phone the second she noticed me looking, but the damage was already done. Her expression said everything, wide eyes, slightly parted lips, the universal look of someone who'd just witnessed something they definitely shouldn't have. Jess, I said carefully, still holding the remains of my phone. How long have you been standing there? She glanced nervously between me and Emma, who was still performing her Oscar-worthy breakdown against Mom's shoulder. I came to grab more wine glasses from the cabinet. I didn't mean to. It's fine, I lied, my mind already racing. Jessica was married to my husband's brother Mike, and while we weren't super close, she'd always been fair to me. More importantly, she'd witnessed Emma's lies about Christmas dinner prep earlier, and now she'd seen the violent aftermath. Emma finally pulled away from Mom, mascara artfully smudged beneath her eyes. Oh God, Jessica. I'm so embarrassed. I can't believe you saw that. I'm just so clumsy when I get emotional. She let out a shaky laugh that fooled absolutely no one with functioning brain cells. Right, Jessica said slowly. Clumsy. I could practically see the wheels turning in her head. Emma hadn't just dropped my phone, she'd hurled it with enough force to shatter it completely against a brick wall. There was nothing clumsy about the pure rage we'd all witnessed. Well, Mom said, clearly wanting to move past this awkwardness, let's get back to the family. Everyone's probably wondering where we went. Actually, I need to call my phone company about getting a replacement, I said. And my insurance. You know, since it was such an unfortunate accident. Emma's eyes flashed with something dangerous, but with witnesses present, she could only nod along. Of course. Whatever you need to do. I feel just terrible about this. I'm sure you do, I replied evenly. After they left the kitchen, Jessica lingered behind, pretending to organize the wine glasses she'd originally come for. You okay? She asked quietly. I looked down at my destroyed phone again. $800. Photos I'd never get back. Work contacts I'd have to rebuild from scratch. All because I dared to tell the truth about Emma's selfishness. I've been better, I admitted. Jessica nodded, then hesitated before speaking again. You know, Mike recorded some of Emma's stories from this morning. The ones from that fancy brunch place downtown? They're still on his Instagram if you ever need them. My heart skipped. What do you mean? I mean, if someone wanted to prove that Emma wasn't actually sick this morning, there's evidence. Timestamped evidence. She paused, studying my face. Mike was showing everyone because he thought it was funny that she ordered the same expensive cocktail 3 times. Really distinctive drink, comes with this elaborate garnish that takes forever to make. I felt something shift inside my chest. Not just anger anymore, but something sharper. More focused. That's interesting, I said carefully. Jessica finished arranging the glasses with unnecessary precision. Mike's always been terrible about deleting old stories. Sometimes they stay up for weeks. She headed toward the kitchen door, then paused. Oh, and Sarah? Emma threw your phone. She didn't drop it. We both know that. After she left, I stood alone in the kitchen, surrounded by the debris of my sister's latest consequence-free tantrum. But for the first time in years, I didn't feel powerless. I felt like I finally had ammunition. And I was definitely going to use it. The next morning, I sat in the Verizon store with a loaner phone, watching them transfer what little data they could recover from my destroyed device. Spoiler alert, it wasn't much. 3 years of photos, contacts, notes, all gone because Emma couldn't handle 30 seconds of accountability. Your insurance will cover most of it, the tech guy said, handing me paperwork. But there's still a $200 deductible, plus you'll lose your upgrade eligibility for the year. $200 I didn't exactly have lying around, thanks to Christmas shopping and the surprise car repair last month. But Emma's money was apparently too tight to actually compensate me, despite her promise to Mom. I was filling out forms when my temporary phone buzzed. A text from my husband David, Emma's been blowing up the family group chat all morning. Apparently you're holding a grudge and making the whole family uncomfortable. Mom wants everyone to just move on. Asterisk. Of course she did. Moving on was always the solution when Emma was the problem. Never accountability, never consequences, just collective amnesia until her next explosion. I screenshotted the message and scrolled up to see what I'd missed. Emma had sent a novel-length text about how hurt she was that I was making such a big deal out of an accident. How she was struggling financially and couldn't understand why I was being so vindictive about demanding immediate payment. Vindictive. For wanting compensation for my destroyed property. The family responses were predictably supportive of Emma. Aunt Linda with the crying face emojis. Uncle Bob suggesting we work it out between ourselves. My own mother hearting Emma's messages about how stressed she was over the whole situation. Then I scrolled to the bottom and saw something interesting. David's brother Mike had left the group chat. Just quietly exited sometime after Emma's performance began. That's when my phone rang. Jessica. Hey, she said, her voice careful. Are you busy? I was wondering if you wanted to grab coffee. 20 minutes later, I was sitting across from my sister-in-law in a corner booth at Starbucks, watching her fidget with her wedding ring. Mike left the family group chat, she said without preamble. I noticed. He was pretty angry after seeing those texts this morning. Said Emma was gaslighting you and he wasn't going to watch the family enable it. I felt a flutter of validation. Mike had always been straightforward, sometimes brutally so. If he was calling Emma out, that meant something. He also said something else, Jessica continued, lowering her voice. About Emma's pattern of behavior at family events. What do you mean? Jessica pulled out her phone and scrolled through something. Remember David's graduation party 2 years ago? When Emma accidentally spilled red wine all over your white dress right before the photos? I'd almost forgotten about that. Emma had been upset that David got his MBA while she dropped out of her master's program, and she'd been drinking heavily all afternoon. The wine spill had seemed genuinely accidental, clumsy, but not malicious. Mike recorded her practicing the spill behind the garage, Jessica said quietly. He thought it was weird that she kept walking back and forth with a full wine glass, so he started filming. Got the whole thing, her deliberately pouring wine on her own hand, testing the motion, making sure she had the angle right. My blood went cold. What? He never showed anyone because he figured it would just cause family drama, and the dress wasn't that expensive. But after yesterday, Jessica shrugged. He's pretty done with protecting Emma from herself. I stared at her, pieces clicking into place. The timing of the spill, right when everyone was gathering for pictures. Emma's over-the-top apologies and offers to pay for dry cleaning that somehow never materialized. The way she'd managed to position herself next to David for every photo afterward while I changed clothes. There's more, Jessica said. Mike's been documenting things for a while now. Not intentionally at first, just normal party videos and pictures. But when you look back at them with fresh eyes. She was quiet for a moment, then met my gaze directly. Sarah, I think your sister has been sabotaging you for years. And we have proof. The coffee in my hands had gone cold while Jessica laid out 2 years' worth of evidence that my twin sister was a calculating sociopath. Show me, I said, my voice barely above a whisper. Jessica hesitated. Are you sure? Because once you see this stuff, you can't unsee it. And I don't know if you're ready for how deliberate some of this was. I thought about my shattered phone. About Emma's crocodile tears and my mother's immediate rush to comfort her. About 26 years of being the difficult twin while Emma played the victim. Show me everything. Jessica pulled up Mike's cloud storage on her phone. Okay, but we're starting small. Your birthday party last year, the one at Mom and Dad's house. She found a video dated 8 months ago and turned the screen toward me. It was Mike filming the dessert table, narrating something funny about Dad's attempt at homemade ice cream. But in the background, barely visible in the corner of the frame, was Emma. She was standing next to my birthday cake, the elaborate chocolate masterpiece I'd special ordered from that expensive bakery downtown. As I watched, Emma glanced around to make sure no one was looking, then deliberately dragged her finger along the bottom edge of the cake, creating a deep gouge in the frosting. Keep watching, Jessica murmured. On screen, Emma quickly stepped away from the cake and moved toward the group. 30 seconds later, she was pointing at the damage with apparent horror, calling everyone over to see how the cake had been accidentally damaged during transport. I remembered that moment. The bakery owner swearing they delivered it in perfect condition. My parents suggesting we just cut around the damaged part. Emma volunteering to fix it with extra frosting, making herself the hero while I looked like a bridezilla for being upset. The finger marks match her nails, Jessica said quietly. Mike noticed it when he was editing the video later. See the length and spacing? She was right. The gouges in my birthday cake perfectly matched Emma's signature stiletto manicure. There's more, Jessica continued, swiping to another video. Thanksgiving 2 years ago. This one showed the family room where we'd all been watching football. I watched myself get up to use the bathroom, and moments later, Emma casually reached over and deleted something on my laptop screen. My laptop, which I'd left open while working on a presentation for Monday morning. She deleted your entire PowerPoint, Jessica said. Mike was recording his fantasy football draft picks and caught it by accident. You spent the whole weekend recreating that presentation, remember? While Emma got sympathy points for offering to help you figure out what went wrong with your computer. My hands were shaking now. That presentation had been crucial, a pitch for a promotion I'd been working toward for months. I'd ended up delivering a hastily rebuilt version that lacked all my original research and polish. I didn't get the promotion. Jessica, this is. I couldn't finish the sentence. Psychotic? Yeah, Mike and I have been talking about it. The pattern is always the same. She waits until you're vulnerable or having a good moment, creates a problem, then swoops in to look helpful while you're dealing with the mess she made. I watched her scroll through more files. Screenshots of Emma's social media posts contradicting her stories. Videos of her practicing fake tears in bathroom mirrors. Photo evidence of her borrowing things from my purse and never returning them. Why didn't Mike say anything before now? Jessica sighed. Because he's not technically family, and calling out someone's sister seemed like overstepping. Plus Emma's good at making her victims look crazy if they fight back. But after yesterday, she shook her head. Watching your own mother comfort Emma while you swept up your destroyed phone? Mike said that was his breaking point. So what are you suggesting? I'm suggesting Emma's been getting away with this because she's careful about witnesses. But Mike's accidentally been documenting her real behavior for years. Jessica leaned forward. And now she's escalated to destroying your property in front of multiple people. She's getting sloppy. You want me to expose her? I want you to protect yourself. Because this isn't going to stop, Sarah. If anything, it's getting worse. I stared at the phone in Jessica's hands, containing years of evidence that my twin sister was systematically sabotaging my life. Evidence that could finally prove I wasn't paranoid or oversensitive or any of the other things Emma made me feel. But using it would mean nuclear war. What about the family? I asked. This would destroy everything. Jessica met my eyes. Emma already destroyed everything. She just made sure you'd be the one blamed for it. That night, I couldn't sleep. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw Emma's face twisted with rage as she hurled my phone at the wall. But now, thanks to Jessica's revelations, that image was competing with newer, more disturbing ones. Emma systematically destroying my birthday cake, deleting my work presentation, practicing her victim face in mirrors. I kept reaching for my phone to scroll mindlessly through social media, then remembering it was gone. The loaner phone felt foreign in my hands, missing all my apps, my photos, my entire digital life that Emma had erased in one violent moment. At 2 a.m., I gave up on sleep and padded to the kitchen. David was already there, nursing a cup of coffee and staring at his laptop screen. Can't sleep either? He asked, looking up at me with tired eyes. Not really. I poured myself coffee and sat across from him. What's keeping you up? He turned the laptop toward me. Emma's been texting me privately since yesterday. Look at this. I scrolled through a string of messages that made my stomach churn. Emma was painting herself as the victim of my unreasonable anger, claiming she was having panic attacks over the guilt of the accident. She was begging David to talk sense into me, to convince me to forgive and move on before I tore the family apart. But the most disturbing part was her detailed sob story about her financial situation. According to Emma's texts, she was behind on rent, her car payment was late, and she couldn't afford groceries, let alone phone replacement costs. She was practically destitute, living paycheck to paycheck. David, I said slowly, Emma posted Instagram stories yesterday morning from that new brunch place downtown. The one where entrees start at $40. I know. His voice was flat. And last week she was showing off some designer handbag she bought. Said it was an early Christmas present to herself. I looked at my husband, really looked at him. The exhaustion in his eyes wasn't just from lack of sleep. How long have you been getting messages like this? I asked. David rubbed his face. Months, maybe longer. Every time you two have any kind of conflict, Emma reaches out to me privately. She positions herself as the peacekeeper, trying to understand why you're being so difficult. My coffee cup hit the table harder than I intended. And you never told me? I didn't want to make things worse between you two. I figured it was just sister drama. He paused. But Sarah, some of these messages, they're really manipulative. She's constantly painting you as the aggressor while making herself sound like a saint just trying to keep the family together. I thought about Jessica's evidence, still burning a hole in my phone's memory. The calculated destruction, the practiced tears, the years of systematic sabotage disguised as accidents and misunderstandings. David, I need to tell you something. About Emma. About what Jessica showed me today. I spent the next hour walking my husband through everything, the videos, the photos, the documented pattern of Emma's behavior. David's expression grew darker with each revelation. The birthday cake thing, he said finally. I remember you being so upset about that. You kept saying something felt off about the damage. Because it was off. She did it deliberately, then made me look like a perfectionist bridezilla for caring. David was quiet for a long moment, processing. Then, what are you going to do with this information? That was the million-dollar question. The evidence Jessica had shown me was damning, but using it would be like detonating a bomb in the middle of our family. Emma would deny everything. My parents would probably defend her. The entire family structure would collapse. But maybe it needed to collapse. Your mom called me tonight, David said quietly. She wants us all to get together this weekend for a reconciliation dinner. Her words. She thinks if everyone just sits down and talks, this will all blow over. Of course she did. Another opportunity for Emma to perform, to manipulate, to make me look like the unreasonable one holding a grudge over a simple accident. Except now I had proof it wasn't an accident. Any of it. What did you tell her? That I'd talk to you. David reached across the table and took my hand. But Sarah, whatever you decide to do, I'm with you. This stops now. I squeezed his fingers, feeling something solid settle in my chest for the first time in days. It was time to go nuclear. The reconciliation dinner was set for Sunday at Mom and Dad's house. Emma had apparently called them in tears, begging for a chance to make things right and apologizing for being such a hot mess lately. According to the family group chat I'd rejoined, she was bringing homemade lasagna and had already Venmo'd me $50 as a start toward the phone replacement. $50. Out of 800. But what really twisted the knife was seeing how quickly everyone praised her for this pathetic gesture. Aunt Linda calling her such a sweetheart. Dad commenting about how thoughtful she was being. Even David's parents chiming in about what a caring sister Emma was for taking responsibility. I screenshotted every single response. You're building a case, David observed, watching me document the family's reaction to Emma's $50 guilt payment. I'm protecting myself, I corrected. Jessica was right, Emma's good at making her victims look crazy. I need evidence of everything now. That's when Jessica texted me, asterisk, can you talk? Something happened, asterisk. I called her immediately. Emma showed up at our house an hour ago, Jessica said without preamble. Crying, asking to talk to Mike about family loyalty and how she's worried you're trying to poison everyone against her. My blood went cold. What did Mike say? He told her to leave. But Sarah, she knows. Somehow she figured out that we have evidence, and she's going into damage control mode. How could she know? I don't know, but she kept asking if Mike had been filming at family events and whether we'd been talking to you about private family matters. She was fishing, but she was fishing for something specific. I felt the walls closing in. Emma was already 3 steps ahead, preparing her counter-narrative before I'd even decided how to use the evidence. There's something else, Jessica continued. After Mike told her to leave, she sat in our driveway for 20 minutes on the phone with someone. Mike could hear her through the window. She was talking about getting ahead of the story and making sure her version came out first. My phone buzzed with another notification. Emma had posted something on Facebook. Sometimes family goes through rough patches, and people say things they don't mean when they're hurt, her post began. Asterisk, I'm choosing to focus on healing and forgiveness instead of holding grudges. Blood is thicker than water, and I'll always love my sister even when she's struggling with anger issues. Praying for peace and understanding. Red heart asterisk. The post already had 15 likes and multiple comments praising Emma for her grace and maturity. Anger issues. She was literally rewriting history in real time, painting me as the unstable one while positioning herself as the long-suffering saint. Jessica, she's already started, I said, reading the Facebook post aloud. That manipulative, Jessica cut herself off. Okay, change of plans. Mike says we need to move fast, before she gets too far ahead of this. What do you mean? Sunday dinner. We're going to be there, and we're bringing receipts. Jessica, I don't know if I'm ready for. Sarah, she just publicly accused you of having anger issues while playing the victim about your phone that she destroyed. She's not giving you time to be ready. She's forcing your hand. I looked at David, who'd been listening to my side of the conversation with growing alarm. What are you thinking? He asked when I hung up. I'm thinking Emma just made this decision for me. I showed him her Facebook post, watching his jaw tighten as he read. Anger issues, he said flatly. She destroys your property in a violent rage, and you're the one with anger issues. My phone was buzzing constantly now with notifications. Emma's post was being shared. Family members were commenting with heart emojis and promises to pray for our family. And buried in the comments, almost like an afterthought, was a message from my own mother, asterisk, some people just need more time to learn forgiveness. We love you both. Asterisk. Some people. Meaning me. The problem child who couldn't just let go of her destroyed property and move on. I screenshotted that too. Sunday dinner was going to be a bloodbath. But for the first time in my life, I wouldn't be the one bleeding. Sunday morning arrived gray and drizzling, matching my mood perfectly. I barely slept, running through every possible scenario for how dinner would go. In my best case fantasy, I calmly presented the evidence and everyone finally saw Emma for who she really was. In my worst case nightmare, the family closed ranks around their golden child and I became the villain who destroyed Christmas with manipulated videos and jealous lies. David found me stress cleaning the bathroom at 7 a.m. You know we don't have to go, he said gently. We could claim food poisoning, reschedule, give ourselves more time to figure this out. I paused mid-scrub, considering it. The temptation to hide was overwhelming. But Emma's Facebook post had gained 30 more comments overnight, including one from my cousin Rachel calling me toxic and suggesting I needed therapy for my obvious issues with Emma's success. Emma's success. Like destroying other people's property was some kind of achievement. No, I said, standing up and tossing the cleaning supplies under the sink. She wants to play the victim? Fine. But she's going to do it while looking at video evidence of her sabotaging my birthday cake. My phone buzzed. A text from Mom, asterisk, looking forward to seeing you tonight, honey. Emma's been so worried about you. She really loves you, you know, asterisk. I showed the message to David, who made a disgusted noise. She's been working on Mom all week, he said. Setting the stage. Another buzz. This time from Emma herself, asterisk, Sarah, I just want you to know how sorry I am about everything. I've been praying for us. Can't wait to hug you tonight and start fresh. Love you, sis. 2 hearts asterisk. The message made my skin crawl. The fake sweetness, the religious manipulation, the presumption that a hug would fix everything, it was textbook Emma. But reading it now, with Jessica's evidence fresh in my mind, I could see the calculation behind every word choice. She's documenting too, I realized, showing David the text. Building her own paper trail of being the bigger person trying to reconcile. David's expression darkened. This is psychological warfare. Yeah, and she's been fighting it a lot longer than I have. At noon, Jessica called with an update that made my stomach drop. Emma beat us there, she said, her voice tight with frustration. She showed up at your parents' house 2 hours early with flowers and some sob story about wanting to help cook. Your mom's been posting about it on Facebook, pictures of them making lasagna together with captions about healing through love. I pulled up Mom's Facebook page and felt sick. Photo after photo of Emma looking angelic in Mom's kitchen, sleeves rolled up, flower in her hair, the picture of a devoted daughter trying to make amends. The comments were exactly what you'd expect, dozens of family friends praising Emma for her beautiful heart and hoping her difficult sister would appreciate the gesture. She's controlling the narrative again, I said. Gets worse. Mike drove by 20 minutes ago, and there are already 4 cars in the driveway. Emma called in reinforcements, looks like your Aunt Linda's there, and your dad's brother Tom. More witnesses to Emma's performance. More people who'd see her as the victim if I came in armed with accusations and evidence. Jessica, what if this backfires completely? What if they all think we doctored the videos or took them out of context? Then at least you'll know exactly where you stand with your family, she said bluntly. Sarah, I'm going to ask you something, and I want you to really think about your answer. If you do nothing, if you let this slide like all the other times, do you honestly think Emma's going to stop? I thought about my shattered phone. About years of accidents and misunderstandings. About Emma's Facebook post painting me as mentally unstable while she played the martyr. No, I whispered. She's going to get worse. Then you know what you have to do. After Jessica hung up, I sat in my car outside a gas station for 20 minutes, paralyzed by the weight of what was coming. Once I walked into that house with evidence of Emma's systematic sabotage, there would be no going back. Win or lose, our family would never be the same. My phone buzzed one more time. Another text from Emma, asterisk just wanted you to know I told everyone how much I've missed you. Mom's making your favorite dessert. Tonight's going to be perfect. Smiling face with hearts asterisk. Perfect. Like my destroyed phone was perfect. Like my ruined birthday cake was perfect. Like years of manipulation and gaslighting were perfect. I started the car and headed toward the battlefield that used to be my childhood home. Time to show Emma what perfect really looked like. The house was packed when David and I arrived, exactly as Jessica had warned. Cars lined the driveway and spilled onto the street, not just immediate family, but the extended crew Emma had clearly summoned as her audience. Through the front window, I could see her holding court in the living room, animated and glowing, surrounded by relatives hanging on her every word. Last chance to bail, David murmured as we sat in the car, watching the Norman Rockwell scene play out inside. Before I could answer, my phone lit up with a notification. Emma had tagged me in a new Facebook post, asterisk so grateful my beautiful sister made it to family dinner. Sometimes the best apologies happen face to face. Love wins. 2 hearts hashtag family first hashtag forgiveness asterisk. She posted it before I'd even gotten out of the car. Emma was watching from the window, phone in hand, crafting her narrative in real time. She's unbelievable, David breathed, reading over my shoulder. The front door burst open, and Emma came rushing out like she was greeting a soldier returning from war. Arms wide, tears already glistening, the perfect picture of a loving sister overcome with emotion. Sarah, she called, loud enough for the neighbors to hear. Oh my God, I've missed you so much. She wrapped me in a crushing hug before I could react, and I felt her phone pressed against my back. Recording, probably. We're taking photos for another strategic social media post about our beautiful reconciliation. I'm so sorry about everything, she whispered in my ear, just loud enough for David to hear but quiet enough to seem private. I've been such a mess. Thank you for forgiving me. Forgiving her. I hadn't said a word, but she was already telling everyone I'd forgiven her. Emma, I started, but she was already pulling back, hands on my shoulders, performing for our audience of relatives who'd gathered in the doorway to witness our reunion. Come inside. Everyone's so excited to see you. Mom made your favorite apple crisp, and Aunt Linda brought those cookies you used to love. Emma's voice was bright, cheerful, completely at odds with a woman who destroyed my phone in a violent rage just days earlier. Inside, the house smelled like garlic and vanilla and childhood memories. Under normal circumstances, this would have been exactly the kind of family gathering I looked forward to. But nothing about this felt normal. Sarah. Mom appeared with oven mitts still on her hands, beaming like I'd just come home from college. Oh sweetie, doesn't this feel better? Emma's been helping me cook all afternoon, just like when you girls were little. The kitchen was spotless except for one perfectly placed flower handprint on the counter, Emma's signature left behind like evidence of her domestic helpfulness. Even her messes were calculated. Where's Jessica and Mike? I asked, scanning the crowd of relatives. Oh, they're running a bit late, Uncle Tom said, appearing with a beer in hand. But Emma was just telling us about that new job opportunity she's interviewing for. Sounds really promising. Job opportunity. Last week Emma had been crying to David about being broke and behind on rent. Today she was interviewing for promotions. The lies were so casual, so automatic, that I wondered if she even kept track anymore. That's great, I managed, catching David's eye. He looked as tense as I felt. Emma slid up beside me, linking our arms like we were best friends at a sleepover. I was just telling everyone how proud I am of you for being so understanding about the phone situation. You're handling it with such grace. Grace. While she publicly labeled me as having anger issues and collected sympathy points from the entire family. My phone buzzed. A text from Jessica, asterisk 5 minutes out. Mike's bringing the laptop. You ready for this? Asterisk. I looked around the room at my family, laughing, chatting, completely taken in by Emma's performance. In 5 minutes, I was either going to free myself from years of manipulation, or lose every single person in this room. Emma squeezed my arm, her grip just a little too tight. This is going to be such a perfect evening, she murmured, her smile never wavering. Perfect. Her favorite word. We'd see about that. The doorbell rang just as Mom was calling everyone to dinner, and I watched Emma's face flicker with something that might have been panic before snapping back to her practiced smile. Oh, that must be Jessica and Mike, she said brightly, but her grip on my arm tightened. I'll get it. She practically sprinted to the front door, and I heard her voice through the hallway, higher pitched than usual, almost frantic. Hey guys. So good to see you. We were just about to eat, perfect timing. But when Jessica and Mike appeared in the doorway, something was off. Jessica looked pale, and Mike was carrying a laptop bag that he clutched like a lifeline. Emma hovered behind them, chattering nervously about the food and how great everything smelled. Sorry we're late, Jessica said, her eyes finding mine across the room. We had to handle something first. Mike nodded grimly. Technical difficulties. Emma's laugh was too loud, too sharp. Well, you're here now. Mom, should we get everyone seated? I'm starving, and the lasagna smells amazing. As we moved toward the dining room, I caught Jessica's arm. What happened? Emma happened, she whispered back. Someone tried to delete Mike's cloud storage an hour ago. All of it. We only caught it because Mike got a security notification on his phone. My blood ran cold. How could she? Remember last Christmas when she borrowed Mike's laptop to check her email? Apparently she memorized his password. Jessica's jaw was tight with anger. We stopped the deletion, but Sarah, she knows exactly what evidence we have. And she's been trying to destroy it. I glanced at Emma, who was practically vibrating with nervous energy as she helped Mom serve dinner. She kept looking toward Mike's laptop bag like it contained a bomb. Which, in a way, it did. Did we lose anything? I asked. No, but it was close. Too close. Jessica lowered her voice even further. Mike's done playing games. He wants to show everyone everything tonight, before she finds another way to sabotage us. Dinner felt like a surreal performance piece. Emma dominated the conversation, regaling everyone with stories about her job interview, which sounded increasingly fictional with each detail, and her plans to get back on track financially so she could properly compensate me for the phone. It's just been such a wake-up call, she said, dabbing at her eyes with her napkin. Sometimes you need something dramatic to happen to realize what really matters. Family is everything. Murmurs of agreement around the table. Aunt Linda reached over to squeeze Emma's hand. Dad nodded approvingly at his daughter's newfound wisdom. I picked up my lasagna, watching Emma work the room like a seasoned politician. She positioned herself directly across from Mike, where she could monitor his every move. Every time he shifted in his seat or reached for his water glass, her eyes tracked him. Sarah's been so patient with me through all this, Emma continued, turning those crocodile tears in my direction. I don't know how I got so lucky to have such a forgiving sister. That's what family does, Mom said warmly. We support each other through the tough times. Support. Like the support I'd gotten when my phone was scattered across the kitchen floor in pieces. Mike cleared his throat. Actually, speaking of support, I wanted to talk to everyone about something. Emma's fork clattered against her plate. Oh. Well, maybe we should wait until after dinner? This lasagna is just so good, and everyone's having such a nice time. It's important, Mike said firmly, pulling his laptop out of the bag. The temperature in the room seemed to drop 10 degrees. Emma's face had gone completely white under her makeup. Mike, she said, her voice taking on a warning tone, whatever you think you need to share, maybe we should discuss it privately first. I think everyone should see this, he interrupted, opening the laptop. Especially since it concerns the whole family. Emma stood up so abruptly her chair scraped against the floor. You know what? I just remembered I have that early meeting tomorrow. Maybe I should head out. Sit down, Emma, David said quietly, and something in his voice made her freeze. The golden child, caught between the door and the evidence of her lies, looked around the table at faces that were no longer quite as sympathetic as they'd been 5 minutes earlier. For the first time in my life, I watched my sister realize she might not be able to manipulate her way out of this one. Please, she whispered, and for once, the desperation in her voice seemed genuine. Don't do this. Mike's fingers hovered over the keyboard. Too late, he said, and pressed play. The first video filled Mike's laptop screen, and the dining room fell silent except for the sound of Emma's labored breathing. It was footage from my birthday party, crystal clear and damning, Emma deliberately gouging her finger through my cake frosting while checking to make sure no one was watching. That's not what it looks like, Emma said immediately, her voice shaking. I was just trying to fix a spot that was already damaged. Keep watching, Mike said calmly, clicking to the next video. This one showed Thanksgiving 2 years ago, Emma reaching across to delete my entire PowerPoint presentation while I was in the bathroom, her movements quick and purposeful. Around the table, I watched my family's faces change. The warm, indulgent expressions they'd worn all evening were slowly morphing into something else. Confusion. Discomfort. The first seeds of doubt. Mike, this is really inappropriate, Mom said, though her voice lacked conviction. These videos were taken without permission. And this one, Mike continued, ignoring her protest, is from last weekend. Emma's Instagram stories from Saturday morning. The screen filled with Emma's social media posts, timestamp clearly visible, showing her at that expensive brunch place, laughing with friends, ordering multiple $40 cocktails. The same Saturday morning she'd called Mom crying about being too sick to help with Christmas dinner. Those are old posts. Emma burst out desperately. I was just reposting them, the timestamp thing is a glitch. Emma. Dad's voice cut through her protests like ice. Were you at Meridian brunch on Saturday morning? It's complicated, Dad. I was feeling better for a few hours, and my friends insisted. While your mother scrambled to remake all the food you'd promised to bring, Uncle Tom said, and his tone was colder than I'd ever heard it. Emma's eyes darted around the table, looking for an ally, but the warm supportive faces had vanished. Even Aunt Linda was staring at the laptop screen with growing horror. There has to be an explanation, Mom said weakly, but she was looking at Emma with something I'd never seen before, actual doubt about her golden child's innocence. Oh, there is, Jessica said, speaking up for the first time. Mike has 2 years' worth of footage. Should we show them the wine spill at David's graduation party? The one you practiced behind the garage? Stop. Emma's voice cracked. Please, just stop. But Mike was already pulling up more files. Or we could talk about the phone incident from this week. I have audio of Emma in our driveway afterward, talking to someone about getting ahead of the story. You recorded me without my knowledge. Emma's desperation was turning to rage now, her mask finally slipping completely. That's illegal. You can't. Like how you tried to delete all of Mike's files this afternoon? David asked quietly. Using his password that you stole last Christmas? The silence that followed was deafening. Emma's mouth opened and closed like a fish, no sound coming out. Emma, Dad said slowly, his voice heavy with disappointment, is this true? Have you been deliberately causing problems? I watched 26 years of manipulation crumble in real time as Emma realized her performance had finally failed. The golden child, stripped of her audience's blind devotion, looked smaller somehow. Desperate. You don't understand, she whispered, tears streaming down her face, real ones this time. Sarah always got everything so easily. Good grades, David, that promotion last year. I needed something to be mine for once. The admission hung in the air like a confession. My phone was buzzing frantically, notifications from Emma's Facebook posts being deleted in real time, her carefully crafted narrative disappearing as fast as she could type. Too late. The truth was already out. The confession should have felt like victory, but instead, the room erupted into chaos. Everything easily? I stood up so fast my chair toppled backward. Emma, I worked 70-hour weeks for that promotion while you were posting Instagram stories from spa days. Girls, please, Mom started, but Emma was already spiraling. You don't know what it's like, she screamed, mascara streaming down her cheeks. Perfect Sarah with her perfect husband and perfect job, while I can't even keep a relationship together for 6 months. Because you sabotage everything. The words tore out of my throat. You've been sabotaging me for years. Dad slammed his hand on the table. Enough. Both of you. But Emma wasn't done. You want to know the truth? Fine. Yes, I deleted your presentation. Yes, I ruined your cake. Because for once, just once, I wanted to see you struggle like I do every single day. The raw honesty was more shocking than any of Mike's videos. Around the table, relatives sat frozen, processing the fact that their sweet, struggling Emma had been waging psychological warfare on her own sister. And the phone? David's voice was deadly quiet. Emma's laugh was bitter, broken. The phone was an accident. I was just so angry that you finally called me out in front of everyone, and I grabbed it without thinking, and... She gestured helplessly at the air. But everything else? Yeah. I did all of it. Uncle Tom pushed back from the table. Jesus Christ, Emma. What's wrong with you? What's wrong with me? Emma whirled on him. What's wrong is that Sarah gets to be the victim now, and everyone will feel sorry for her, and I'll be the evil twin sister for the rest of my life. Because you are. Aunt Linda snapped, her earlier sympathy completely evaporated. Emma, this is sick. This is genuinely disturbed behavior. Mom was crying now, quiet tears that somehow felt worse than Emma's theatrical sobbing. How long, she whispered. How long has this been going on? Mike scrolled through his files. Based on what I've documented. At least 3 years. But I'm guessing it goes back much further. High school, I said suddenly, memories clicking into place like puzzle pieces. My college interview. You told them I cheated on my SATs. Emma's face crumpled. They couldn't prove it. Because it wasn't true. I was shaking now, years of gaslighting finally making sense. You called my interviewer anonymously and made up lies about me cheating. I lost my scholarship because of you. The room went dead silent. Even Emma stopped crying. The scholarship, Dad repeated slowly. You lost your scholarship senior year because of anonymous allegations. That someone made up, I said, staring at my twin sister. Someone who knew exactly which classes I'd struggled in, exactly what story would sound believable. Emma backed toward the doorway like a cornered animal. I was 18. I was stupid and jealous, and you cost me $40,000 in student loans. My voice cracked. I spent 4 years eating ramen noodles and working 2 jobs because you destroyed my scholarship out of spite. I didn't know it would work. Emma screamed back. I thought they'd just ask you a few questions. The admission landed like a physical blow. My college debt. My exhaustion during school. The years of financial struggle while Emma lived comfortably at home, all because she'd sabotaged my future when we were 17. Mom stood up abruptly, her face pale and hard. Get out. Emma blinked. What? Get out of my house. Right now. Mom, please. Get out. Mom's voice shattered the remaining silence. I don't want to look at you right now. I don't want to hear your voice. Just leave. For the first time in my life, Emma had pushed too far. Even the golden child had limits. And she just found them. Emma stood frozen in the doorway, her face cycling through shock, disbelief, and pure panic. In 26 years, I'd never heard our mother speak to her with anything but gentle understanding. Even when Emma had wrecked Dad's car at 19, Mom had focused on gratitude that she wasn't hurt. Mom, you don't mean that, Emma said, her voice small and broken. I'm your daughter. I made mistakes, but... You destroyed your sister's life, Mom said, her voice shaking with rage I'd never heard before. 4 years. Systematically. That's not a mistake, Emma. That's cruelty. Dad stood up slowly, and I could see him aging in real time as the weight of Emma's confession sank in. The scholarship, he said quietly. We took out a second mortgage to help Sarah with college costs. We almost lost the house. The financial strain that had hung over our family during my college years suddenly made perfect sense. Mom working double shifts at the hospital. Dad taking weekend construction jobs. The fights they tried to hide from us about money. All because Emma had destroyed my scholarship with a single vindictive phone call. I didn't know about the mortgage, Emma whispered, but even she seemed to realize how pathetic that sounded. You didn't care to know, Aunt Linda said coldly. You were too busy playing victim while your parents sacrificed everything to clean up your mess. Emma's phone was buzzing constantly in her purse, probably friends and extended family responding to her now-deleted Facebook posts, wondering where her reconciliation updates had gone. Her carefully constructed narrative was collapsing in real time. This is insane, she said, desperation creeping back into her voice. You're all acting like I'm some kind of monster because I made some bad choices when I was young. Young? Jessica interrupted. Emma, you tried to sabotage Sarah's birthday cake 8 months ago. You deleted her presentation 2 weeks before Christmas. When exactly did you plan to stop being young and start being accountable? Mike was still scrolling through his evidence files. There's more here if anyone wants to see it. The pattern goes back as far as I have footage. No, Emma said quickly. Please, I'll leave. I'll go right now. Just don't show them anything else. The room fell silent except for the sound of Emma's ragged breathing. For the first time in our lives, she was completely without allies, without anyone willing to make excuses for her behavior. It should have felt like victory. Instead, I felt hollow. Emma, I said quietly, and she looked at me with desperate hope in her eyes. Why did you hate me so much? The question seemed to break something in her. She sank into the doorframe, no longer able to hold herself upright. I didn't hate you, she whispered. I hated that everything was so easy for you. That people liked you without you having to perform all the time. That you got to be the smart one, the successful one, while I had to be the pretty one, the sweet one, the one everyone felt sorry for. So you decided to make my life harder. I decided to level the playing field. Emma's voice was barely audible. Just once, I wanted to see you fail at something. But then you'd pick yourself up and try again, and you'd still succeed, and I'd have to do something else. The confession hung in the air like smoke. 26 years of systematic sabotage, all because Emma couldn't stand to see me succeed without her permission. My phone buzzed with a text from an unknown number. Asterisk, this isn't over. You'll regret this. Asterisk. Emma was already walking toward her car, her phone in her hand, typing furiously. Even in defeat, she was planning her next move. The threatening text from Emma should have been the end of it. Instead, it was just the beginning. Over the next 3 days, my phone became a weapon of psychological warfare. Anonymous texts at 2 a.m. Fake accounts messaging my coworkers with concerns about my mental stability. Someone even called my boss claiming I'd been stealing office supplies, a lie so petty and specific that I knew exactly who was behind it. But Emma's masterpiece was the email she sent to my entire extended family on Wednesday morning. I want to apologize to everyone for the drama at Sunday's dinner, it began, written in Emma's signature victim-playing style. I've been struggling with severe anxiety and depression lately, and I let my emotions get the best of me. I said things that weren't entirely accurate because I was having what I now realize was a mental health crisis. I read the email 3 times, my coffee growing cold as I processed Emma's new strategy. She wasn't denying the sabotage anymore, she was reframing it as a cry for help from someone who was mentally unwell and therefore not fully responsible for her actions. Sarah and I have always had a complicated relationship, the email continued, but I never meant to hurt her. I've been feeling so inadequate compared to her success that I made some very poor choices. I'm now seeking professional help and hope that with time and therapy, we can rebuild our relationship. Professional help. Poor choices. Mental health crisis. Every phrase was carefully calculated to generate sympathy while minimizing accountability. Emma was already working to rehabilitate her image, and I could see it was effective. The email had been sent to 43 people, and the supportive replies were already rolling in. Cousin Rachel, mental health is so important. I'm proud of you for getting help. Family friend Margaret, we all make mistakes when we're struggling. Sending love and prayers. Even Uncle Tom, who'd been disgusted with Emma at dinner, replied with, take care of yourself, kiddo. Family is family. My phone rang. Mom. Did you see Emma's email? She asked without preamble. Unfortunately. She's asking for help, Sarah. She's trying to get better. I stared out my kitchen window, watching my neighbor's cat hunt something in the bushes. Mom, she sent me threatening texts after she left your house. That doesn't sound like someone genuinely seeking help. Threatening texts? Mom's voice sharpened. What kind of threats? Anonymous messages telling me I'll regret exposing her. Someone called my boss with lies about me stealing. My coworkers are getting messages questioning my mental stability. Silence on the other end of the line. You can't prove that was Emma, Mom said finally, but her voice lacked conviction. Who else would it be? Sarah, I'm not defending what she did before, but if she's really trying to change. She's not trying to change. The words exploded out of me. She's trying to control the narrative again. She's making herself the victim of a mental health crisis instead of taking actual responsibility. People can change, Mom insisted. And cutting her off completely isn't going to help anyone heal. I felt the familiar weight of family pressure settling on my shoulders. Even with video evidence of years of sabotage, even after Emma's full confession, the family default was still to protect her and pressure me to be understanding. What exactly are you asking me to do? I said carefully. Just, consider giving her another chance. She's seeing a therapist. She wants to make amends properly. By harassing me with anonymous messages? You don't know that was her. But I did know. Just like I'd known something was off about my destroyed birthday cake, about my deleted presentation, about every accident that had befallen me over the years. The difference was that now I had proof, and a family that was finally starting to believe me. Most of them, anyway. I need to go, I told Mom. I have a meeting. After I hung up, I forwarded Emma's email to Jessica with a single question. Is it just me, or is this manipulation 2.0? Her response was immediate. It's definitely manipulation. But Sarah, it's working. Jessica was right. Emma's mental health narrative was working like a charm, and by Friday, the family rehabilitation campaign was in full swing. My phone buzzed with a group text from Dad. Asterisk Emma's therapist says family support is crucial for her recovery. Maybe we could all get together this weekend, neutral location, very casual. Asterisk. Before I could even respond, the replies started flooding in. Aunt Linda volunteering to host. Uncle Tom suggesting we focus on healing, not blame. Even David's parents chiming in about the importance of unconditional family love. Are you seeing this? I asked David, showing him the group chat that was rapidly turning into an Emma sympathy rally. He scrolled through the messages, his jaw tightening with each one. It's like they've all gotten collective amnesia about Sunday night. My phone rang. Jessica. Please tell me you're not falling for this therapy bullshit, she said without preamble. I'm not, but everyone else apparently is. Dad wants another family dinner. Of course he does. Mike got a call from your uncle this morning, asking him to be more supportive of Emma's mental health journey. Apparently exposing someone's abusive behavior is now considered triggering. I sank into my couch, feeling the familiar weight of being gaslit by my entire family. Jessica, what if they're right? What if I'm being too harsh? She did admit what she did. Sarah, stop. Emma admitted to years of sabotage, then immediately started a harassment campaign against you. That's not mental illness, that's calculation. But doubt was creeping in anyway. The family pressure was relentless, and Emma's new victim narrative was so much more palatable than the truth. Mental health struggles were something everyone could understand and sympathize with. Systematic psychological warfare against your own sister was not. My laptop chimed with a new email. From Emma directly this time. Asterisk Sarah, I know you probably don't want to hear from me, but I need you to know that I understand how much I hurt you. My therapist says acknowledging the full impact of my actions is part of the healing process. I destroyed your trust, your sense of safety in our family, and probably your ability to believe that people can genuinely care about you without ulterior motives. That's on me, and I'm going to spend however long it takes proving that I can be the sister you deserved all along. I don't expect forgiveness right away, but I hope you'll give me the chance to earn it. Love, Emma. Asterisk. The email was a masterpiece of manipulation disguised as accountability. It hit every therapy buzzword, acknowledged harm without truly accepting consequences, and ended with a request that put the burden of healing back on me. But what made my skin crawl was how well crafted it was. This wasn't the rambling desperation of someone in crisis, it was the calculated work of someone who'd figured out her new angle. I forwarded it to David and Jessica simultaneously. David's response, she's gotten smarter about her manipulation. Jessica's response, this reads like she googled therapeutic language and plugged in the results. Also, did you notice she sent this right before the family group chat started discussing weekend plans? Timing. She was right. Emma had sent her heartfelt accountability email exactly 30 minutes before Dad's suggestion of a reconciliation dinner. She was priming me to look unreasonable when I inevitably declined to participate. My phone was buzzing again. More family members joining the group chat, more pressure to support Emma's recovery, more suggestions that holding grudges was unhealthy for everyone involved. The golden child had found her new golden ticket, weaponized therapy speak. And once again, I was being positioned as the problem for not embracing it. By Saturday, Emma's rehabilitation campaign had reached fever pitch. The family group chat was buzzing with updates about her breakthrough therapy sessions and her genuine commitment to change. Dad had booked a private room at Olive Garden for Sunday brunch, and 23 people had already confirmed their attendance at Emma's comeback tour. I was not one of them. Sarah, please reconsider, Mom called me Saturday night, her voice heavy with disappointment. Emma's therapist says your absence would be devastating to her progress. She's worked so hard this week. Worked hard harassing me anonymously, but sure. Progress. I'm not ready, I said simply. When will you be ready? Because the family is moving forward with or without you, and I'd hate for you to be left behind. Left behind. The subtle threat was perfectly delivered, get on board with Emma's redemption arc or lose your place in the family. I hung up and stared at my phone, watching more group chat messages pour in about tomorrow's healing brunch. Emma had successfully rewritten history again, transforming herself from calculated abuser to misunderstood victim in less than a week. But this time, she'd made one critical mistake. She'd underestimated Jessica and Mike. Sunday morning, while 23 of my family members gathered at Olive Garden to celebrate Emma's therapeutic breakthrough, Jessica, Mike, David, and I sat in a coffee shop across town, uploading 2 years' worth of evidence to a private YouTube channel. Are you sure about this? Mike asked, his finger hovering over the publish button. I thought about Emma's threatening texts. About her calculated email. About my family's willingness to embrace her new narrative while pressuring me to forget years of abuse. I'm sure. The video compilation was devastating. 2 hours of footage showing Emma's systematic sabotage, her practiced victim faces, her calculated destruction of my property and opportunities. Mike had even included audio of her phone call in his driveway, discussing how to get ahead of the story. But the real masterpiece was the finale, security footage from Mom and Dad's kitchen that I'd never seen before. Their Ring camera had captured Emma's phone-throwing incident in perfect detail, showing her calculated wind-up and violent follow-through. There was nothing accidental about it. The title card read, The Truth About Emma's Mental Health Crisis, a Pattern of Calculated Abuse. Within an hour of posting, the video had been shared in our family group chat by someone anonymous. The reactions were swift and decisive. Uncle Tom, Jesus Christ. I owe Sarah a massive apology. Aunt Linda, this is sociopathic behavior. How did we not see this? Even Mom finally texted me privately, I'm so sorry, sweetheart. We failed you. My phone rang 20 minutes later. Emma, calling from the Olive Garden bathroom while her healing brunch collapsed around her. You vindictive bitch, she hissed, her therapeutic mask finally dropped completely. I was trying to get better. No, I said calmly, you were trying to manipulate everyone into forgetting what you did. Again. This will destroy me. Do you understand that? No one will ever trust me again. Good, I said. Maybe now you'll understand how it felt to live with your sabotage for 8 years. The silence stretched between us. Sarah, please, Emma's voice cracked. I'm begging you. Take the video down. I'll disappear. I'll move across the country. Just please don't leave this up forever. For the first time in my life, I held all the power in our relationship. The video stays up, I said. Consider it a permanent reminder of what accountability actually looks like. I hung up and turned off my phone. Emma never contacted me again. The family dynamics shifted permanently after that weekend. Emma did move across the country, eventually settling in Portland where she couldn't weaponize our relatives against me anymore. The video became family legend, required viewing for anyone dating into our clan. Most importantly, I finally got my phone replaced with insurance money that Emma actually paid back, plus interest. Sometimes the best revenge really is just the truth, served cold and with receipts. The golden child's reign was officially over.